Good evening. I would like to welcome you to tonight's event with Labra Youth, Edie's Journey of Recovery Through Art. I am Tamar Mishkin, the founder and director of Labra Youth. Labra Youth is a mental health peer support group for Jewish women, with the emphasis of helping women going through mental health challenges to feel less alone in their struggles. Labra Youth accomplishes this goal by hosting monthly support groups for their members. We have a private Facebook group and a WhatsApp chat for members to communicate with each other. Labra Youth is not limited only to those in the Chicago area, as now most of our programs and events are virtual. We welcome women who would like to join from anywhere in the world. Labra Youth's groups, chats, and emails share important resources with members about ways to deal with mental health challenges of their own or that of a family member. We are very excited to have our own Edie Freimark, co-facilitator of our support groups, here this evening to share her story of recovery with us through a multimedia presentation. Edie will discuss how she has used art therapy to bring about her mental health recovery. Art therapy is a creative process facilitated by a professional art therapist for the purpose of improving things like self-esteem and self-awareness, cultivating emotional resilience, promoting insight, enhancing social skills, and reducing and resolving conflicts and distress. Art therapy engages the mind, body, and spirit in a more distinct ways than just talk therapy alone. Before we begin, I'd like to just review some housekeeping items. Kindly keep yourself muted with your camera off during the presentation. There will be a Q&A session after the presentation. If you have questions, you can text them to me in the chat, Tamar Mishkin, and I will be moderating the Q&A section later. Number 3, this event is being recorded and the recording will be sent out to those who have registered for it. Number 4, closed captioning has been enabled for those who would like to use this feature. The following summary of Edie's journey was written by Jessica Ventura Ewing, Edie's therapist. When Edie first began her art therapy journey, she entered with the knowledge that she wanted to tap back into her creative side to support her healing from complex PTSD, anxiety, and depression. The energetic weight Edie carried from her past struggles was heavy and dark, but with bravery, she forged ahead, willingly participating in every session and every directive that was given. We were only 2 sessions in when the pandemic hit and we had to move to telehealth. Unsure how things would work, Edie remained open and trusting of the art process, this time from within her own home. At first, she could not even make a mark on a small piece of paper with a pen, but over time, her internal defenses lessened and she was able to create. She began to doodle and draw circles. Later, this led to painting. Edie came to the realization that the lyrics from songs spoke to her and reflected many of her life experiences. With this new insight, she began to allow the music to flow into her paintings and later writing as well. Some of the heaviness that Edie was carrying began to fade away. Then something magical happened. Edie began to create outside of session for herself, expanding her artistic material horizons and learning on her own how to utilize new materials. It was at this time that she had reached a true turning point in her healing. As Edie continued to heal, she became ready to pursue a goal that she had expressed for a long time, to share her experiences and story with others in order to support their healing journeys. It was then that Edie became a NAMI support group facilitator. As a facilitator, Edie pays close attention to the needs of the participants and advocates for new groups as needed. Because of Edie's input, new groups have been created, as well as others being revived, including Creative Minds groups, Body Image group, and a chronic pain, chronic illness group, as well as a group specifically for the facilitators themselves. Edie has also become a group facilitator here at Labra Youth, fulfilling her desire to continue to destigmatize mental health within the Jewish community and support her fellow Jewish women. If you know Edie now, on occasion you might see some of the scars from the past struggles she has had. But mostly all you see is the strength, sparkle, and lots of fabulous colors that reflect who she is inside and out. Please take it away, Edie.
Okay, so hi, and thank you for that, Jessica, and Tamar for reading what Jessica read. And Jessica did go into a little bit of what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to go into it a little bit more. So we're going to have a multimedia presentation, and so I'm going to go ahead and start sharing that now, and bear with me as I get it situated. So we'll go ahead and do that right now, and then I'll start. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Wait, you know what? All right, I got it to work now. Okay, so I hope you can see me. First of all, I want to thank Tamar, Michigan, and Labriut for inviting me here today to speak this evening. And I want to thank you all for taking the time to spend with me to hear what I have to say. The first step in ending the stigma surrounding mental health and mental illness is talking about our lives and listening to others tell their stories with open hearts and open minds. And that's what we're here to do tonight, to take a step in breaking the cycle of mental health stigma. Mental health and mental wellness are difficult topics to talk about, especially when you're talking about your own journey. But the fact that they are so difficult to talk about is precisely why it needs to be done. My name is Edie, and I live with, among other mental health conditions, anxiety, depression, and complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my most recent battle with mental health, my journey to mental wellness, and the balance I work every day to maintain. I will say this, I live with trauma. I've experienced trauma in many different ways and at many different times throughout my entire life, from early childhood through adulthood to this day. I will not be going into details about my trauma because it belongs to me, and sharing it may trigger some, and that's not the point of this evening. This evening, we're here to discuss healing. I'm going to give you some background about my latest battle with my mental health, and then I'm going to go into how and why I found art therapy and what it did for me. And finally, I'm going to be reading one of the pieces I wrote as part of one of my projects and show you a short video about another project. After that, we'll have that question and answer period Tamar discussed with whatever time we have left. So let's go into a little bit of background. In 2014, I was doing quite well. Had a good job. I was physically healthy. I was emotionally stable. I was able to deal with what life threw my way. At that time, all of my 3 children, who are now ages 27, 16, and 13, were living at home. And while I won't say everything is perfect, because we all know that nothing is ever perfect, I was able to manage my life. But because we all know there must always be a but, or there would never be a story. So, but I was tired all the time. Yes, I worked hard. And yes, I worked out hard. Like a fiend, I worked out, but I did sleep well. And I can remember, because I was working out maybe 10, 12 hours a week, and I was what you would call a Zumbaholic at that time. And I can remember showing up for Zumba classes, and I was always early, and I was always laying down on the floor in my spot, and I would fall asleep for probably like 15 minutes before I started class. And then I would just wake up, get up, and push through the class. But that wasn't normal. That wasn't right. And I thought it was just from work and stress and life. And I made the best of it, like all of us do. So many of us do. We just push through and we make the best. And it was early in 2015, my throat was bothering me, and like from my ear down to my neck. But it did that often. And it was like, did I have an ear infection? Did I have an upper respiratory infection? And I was run down again, because that would happen all the time. And I thought maybe I had that ear infection. So I went to the doctor. But being that I already had like a thyroid condition, after feeling my throat, he sent me for an ultrasound, which immediately led to a biopsy, which immediately led to an appointment with the surgeon, which led to surgery to remove the massive amounts of cancer in my throat within a week. And that surgery was pretty spectacular in the amount of stuff that they removed from my neck. And between that amazing surgery and the radiation I had, thank God I've been cancer-free ever since. I get checked up regularly. I get monitored every 6 months. I do what I'm supposed to do. And thank God I'm cancer-free. But it sent me into a tailspin. I didn't have a thyroid anymore. So my entire system was not working right. I was lethargic and physically exhausted all the time. And my brain was in a fog, a constant fog. And emotionally, I was a wreck. It was difficult. My depression was building, my anxiety was building. And it took a really long time to get my medication regulated correctly for my thyroid to compensate for the fact that I didn't have a thyroid. And I was out of work for a while. And when I went back to my job, things were just not the same. It was clear to me at that point that I wasn't the right person for that job and that position anymore. And when I was offered a new job within months of coming back, I took it. But as it turned out, it wasn't just that specific job, but that specific place. It was the position that I wasn't right for anymore. I still wasn't thinking clearly, and the industry I was in was changing so fast, I couldn't keep up with it anymore. I was still in that fog, and I was still emotionally a wreck, and I was still trying to, get back up to speed with my body. And then that industry was changing. I couldn't keep up. And I didn't do the one thing my boss asked me to do when he hired me, and that cost me my job. He had asked me that if I ever needed help, if it became too much, if I couldn't do what I needed to do, to let him know, and he would help me through it. And I didn't do that. I couldn't see through all the anxiety and everything else that was going on. Everything that I was having going on, I couldn't see clearly enough to go to him for help. And I lost my job. And it was the best job I think I'd ever had. It was the best place I'd ever worked. And I called him about a year later, and I apologized to him. And I thanked him for treating me so well, because he really did treat me well. I told him I knew what he had asked me to do, but I just wasn't in a place to access it. I couldn't. And he said he knew and he understood, and it was okay. And I let him know how much I appreciated everything that he did for me and how well he treated me from start to finish. And I really believe we left off in a good place. And I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to call him and have that discussion with him. And it's a testament to who he is that we did end in a good place. But anyway, after I lost that job, I bounced again to another job. I didn't want to take the job. I didn't want to do it, but I lost that job too. And that was it. I was done. I was done. I wasn't going to do it anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. My depression was at an all-time high. My anxiety was through the roof. I couldn't function. And at that point in 2017, The only thing I could basically do was be in bed. Maybe I could shower, maybe I could eat, maybe I could pick one of my kids up at school. I would basically stare at the wall all day and sleep on and off. I felt isolated, I felt alone, I felt depressed, I felt anxious, and most of all, I felt really scared. I didn't know how I was going to get myself out of this deep, dark pit I was in, or if I even could get out of it. And I felt completely stuck in that despair, in that pit. And yeah, scared, really scared. However, I would go to therapy. I would go and I talked and talked and talked and talked and talked, and I really wasn't getting anywhere. I would go home, I would get right back in bed, and I would feel even more depressed and even more anxious and even more stuck than I did before. And this went on for months and months and months. And I can't even remember how many months, but the months turned into 2018. And one morning, and it was in January of 2018, I woke up and it was like that aha epiphany moment. And I remembered one of the things that, and I hope he doesn't mind, I'm going to use his name, my Uncle Danny would say to me all the time. And it turns out that he borrows this from Albert Einstein. And I think they're both really smart guys. And so I'm going to tell you what he would say to me. He would say to me that the definition of insanity, and we're not talking clinical insanity, we're talking insanity. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's the thought I had in early January of 2018. So there I was, day in and day out, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting something to change, for a new day to come, and poof, my depression and my anxiety vanish. That's what I was expecting. And I realized, and this is so important because this is the first step in my healing. I realized that the only way I was going to get better was to get help. And the only one that could get me help was me. I had to make the decision and I had to do it for me. Nobody else could do it for me. I had to be ready. And I was ready. And when we look at this, we need to realize that just as we need to make that decision for ourselves, it's the same for those we care about. When we care for someone with a mental health condition or conditions, we can want the best for them. We can want them to get help, but we really can't force them until they're ready to get help themselves. We can't make people do it. Until someone is ready, it won't work. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow for someone who cares for someone with a mental health condition, because I've been on that end of it too. But I promise you it's the truth. Until someone is ready, until I was ready, there was nothing anybody could do. So that day I decided I was going to start my journey to healing for myself, by myself. And I looked into partial hospitalization programs, which is, you can call it PHP. I had an intake within days, and by the end of the week, I was in a program. It literally saved my life. And people say literally, it literally saved my life. I did that program 3 times within 2 years. And I did it when I needed reinforcement to get me where I needed to go. I needed to get to a level where I got it. And it took me 3 times. And PHP taught me many important skills. And some of the skills I learned that have really stuck with me include big ones. Radical acceptance, huge. It's a huge one for me. Mindfulness, staying present, grounding, those are huge things for me. And also someone that lives with trauma, and I don't know if it's everybody that lives with trauma, but a few of the people that I know that live with trauma have an issue with assertiveness. So learning that it's okay to be assertive and learning the tools to be assertive in PHP was game changer for me. And so here's the next important part of my healing. I've taken these tools that I've learned in PHP, but not just in PHP, across my journey since then. Sorry, my lights are flickering. I've taken these tools that I've learned in PHP and since, and I've integrated them into my daily life to help me maintain what I call my emotional well-being baseline, so that I can function and stay present. Because staying present is so important to living. So after I finished PHP, I continued therapy, but I needed more. I needed that group dynamic of PHP. And I looked for something within the Jewish community of Chicago. But unfortunately, in 2018, organizations like La Brea did not exist. And I found nothing. And gratefully, I found NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. I started attending in-person weekly connections meeting through my local CCNF affiliate, that's Cook County North Suburban, shout out. I thrived in this safe, non-judgmental, affirming space. I had found a place where I could be heard, understood, a place free of stigma, a place where people got me and didn't try to fix what wasn't broken, a place where I accepted for who I was accepted for who I was. I wasn't broken, and I didn't need the people around me to fix me. I needed them to accept me, and that's what NAMI gave me. As an aside, I want to say that if you're looking for a place like that, we have tried, and I think we've succeeded to create such a space like that in our virtual groups through La Brea. So if you're looking for a place where you can be welcomed and understood, accepted and not judged, please check out our monthly support groups. And I'm sure, I know, Tamar has that information that she can get to you. So back to that next important part of my healing, feeling like I belong somewhere and understanding that I'm not broken because I have mental health diagnoses is one of the most freeing realizations I have ever had. It's unbelievably freeing to know that I didn't need to be fixed, that I wasn't the problem, that I wasn't that person that everybody had to fix. And knowing that I belong just because I was me was so freeing. I'm just going to let that sink in for you guys, and I'm going to move on to the next part. And so moving on. Okay, that was not the greatest part. In the summer of 2019, I had what I now realize is my first recognized CPTSD flashback. That flashback was traumatic. And in its wake, it brought back repressed memories, panic, and also, until then, unknown triggers and so much more. I often refer to trauma as the gift that keeps on giving. There's a little humor there, because you never know when the next flashback is going to hit, when the new trigger is going to appear, or when you're going to be sent into a panic over a mundane object or occurrence. And here's another important tool in my healing, guys: humor. Humor is vital in the main maintenance of my emotional baseline. If I can't find humor in my life, I know I'm in trouble. That adage, that laughter is the best medicine, has a lot of truth to it. Trauma is the gift that keeps on giving and giving and giving. Sometimes you really do just have to laugh, because, you know, if you don't laugh, the alternative is not pretty. And sometimes you just have to. And I spent my time in therapy trying to deal with the new life in the wake of trauma, because I've learned that when you are a trauma survivor, so much of what you do is based in trauma. How you react and respond to things, how you move and how you think, how you breathe, how you store pain, how you feel emotions, sorrow and joy. And I started to think about what brought me joy in my life, and I drew a complete and utter blank. Complete blank. And I had to think back about my life and really think about when the last time I really felt joy like that. And I'm not talking about the joy I felt when I got married, or when my children were born, or when they met their milestones, or when they hug me, or when I'm happy for other people in their lives. Not that kind of joy, because I feel that. I mean the joy of feeling personal contentment, of feeling joy about my inner self, feeling like I was lighting up from the inside with sounds and sparks of lights and colors and images of beautiful things inside, that kind of joy. And I had to go back a long way. It saddens me that I had to think all the way back to when I was in college, studying art, photography, when I was being creative, when I was going to be an artist. I was going to be an artist. That was the last time I felt that personal joy. in my early 20s. And so Uncle Danny and Albert Einstein ringing in my ears once more, I decided it was time to mix it up once again, to try and get a different outcome, to try and recapture that joy and heal a lot of the things inside of myself. And I Googled art therapy in Chicago, and I got really lucky. I found not only an art therapist, but someone who specializes in trauma as well. So right before the pandemic that shut down all personal interaction for 2 years, over 2 years, I had my first appointment. I don't remember what was asked. I was asked to draw on the paper, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't even put that pencil on the paper. I was petrified. Petrified of not being perfect, petrified of judgment, petrified about what emotions would come out, petrified of the unknown of it all. I don't have that drawing. I didn't ever want to see it again. But I remember talking the entire time I was scraping that pencil across the paper. I remember how cathartic it was, the movement of my hand, and talking about whatever I was talking about. I was completely hooked on the process, completely all in, as scary as it was. And within weeks, when the pandemic was in full swing and therapy had to go through Zoom, I didn't stop. 1 second. So now I'm going to start showing you some images. These first images range from a whole bunch of things. Some things that I call arm graffiti. I used to write on my hands. I do it sometimes still. Affirmations and things I wanted to remind myself of, so I would write them on my arm. There's in therapy sketches, there's other sketches, there's photography, and there's Zentangles. Zentangles are, took some notes on it. They're abstract art created by a collection of little pictures or little drawings that you do, and they increase self-confidence and nurtures creativity. So you'll see some little Zentangles in there. Okay, so I'm gonna run some slides and talk at the same time. So let's see how that goes. So actually, once I started and got comfortable with the idea that it was okay to express myself creatively, again, the emotional and trauma-based work really started. I continued to get my feet wet with sketching and doodling, delving into those Zentangles and other types of quick drawings to encourage me to stop overthinking and just do. I became obsessed with circles. I would draw them, shade them, work them into other images. There's something about the circle that represents wholeness that I was trying to obtain. And as I look back on it, on that circle, it's not really the wholeness, but it's more of a balance. There's a Zentangle. And here is the next point in my healing journey. Finding a balance is something I think so many of us look for in our lives, whether it's between work and home life, caring for ourselves and those around us. Or for me, it's all of that. And it's also managing my emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. The circles really became the representation for my quest of balance in my life. Balance. That's what I've been looking for. Those circles represent my strive for balance. And at this point, independent of therapy, I started working in my sketchbook on a series of images that centered on lyrics from songs. I would find these lyrics that spoke to me in some way, and I would put them down on paper in a way that spoke to me and my emotions, my trauma, and my life. This very quickly turned into a larger project where I take the lyric, but instead of a sketch, I paint it on canvas. All the paintings are a total of 16 by 16 square, all acrylics, and all have circles in some way. But it did not stop with the paintings. Once I finished the paintings, I write a short piece incorporating the lyric. Obviously, this piece speaks about or to my mental health journey or my life's experiences in some way. It is a fully immersive process as I listen to the song while painting and writing. This project has helped me process through some very difficult and traumatic events in my life. It has helped me come to terms with some things I hadn't been able to, helped me to make some big realizations, and has helped me understand a lot more about who I am and why I am who I am. And I really hope that last part makes sense to you, because it really does to me. This project, which I hope will eventually become a book, but it may be a little bit of a copyright issue, is titled My Life's Lyrics. This project was not a therapy assignment, but something that developed organically from my exploration into my creativity and my willingness to play and commit to the hard stuff in therapy and out. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of these images now and discuss a few of them. So I'm going to talk about a few of them, and we'll take a look at some other ones and we'll go through them. So here's the first one. I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. This is from a song by Gavin DeGraw. This is the first painting in the series that I did. This song has been my anthem since the first time I heard it. It basically screamed to me that, hey, I'm working towards being me, who I am. This is what I'm striving for. And I don't want to be anything else. I don't have to be anything else. And I won't let anything get in the way of achieving that goal. And as you can see, the circles are heavily represented here. I mean, this is all circles, circles and circles, dots. I'm literally searching for that balance while striving and asserting myself in my goal here. Here's another one. This is from The Greatest Showman. Lots of circles in this one. There's millions of us just like you, like you, like you, just like you, like you. This is a song from Chumbawamba. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. Stay unfiltered and loud. You'll be proud of that skin full of scars. This is from All I Know So Far from Pink. This is about finding my voice, not being afraid to speak my mind, no longer hiding any part of who I am, not cowering to any kind of stigma, living authentically, unashamed, being me. It's not always easy being me, living authentically, but it's always necessary to me. This is from Dear Evan Hansen. Am I losing my own way back home? Am I losing a good friend that I've known? Leonard Skinner. This painting speaks to a time last summer when I went to help out with the care of my Zeta, my grandfather. He was living with dementia, among other things. And when I came home from that first visit, this lyric really hit me. The painting feels to me like I am lost under sea, adrift, unsure if I will ever find my way home, unsure if I was losing a part of me in him that I know of as safe and as home. This is from a song called Brother from Need to Breathe. It speaks to family. And on those days when the sky begins to fall, you're the blood of my blood. We can get through it all. That's to someone very important to me. They know who they are. Pretty Blue Eyes by Steve Lawrence. I returned to care for my Zeta earlier than I anticipated that summer. And within weeks, he had left us. He used to sing this song to me, and I had taken to listening to it daily. It means everything to me. I have it on several playlists, and I was listening to one of the playlists as I flew from Baltimore to Charleston for his funeral and Shiva. And I promise you, as the plane touched down, this song came on and I burst into tears. as the plane touched down on the tarmac, this song came on. I was all alone in Charleston, but I still had my Zeta. I hadn't lost my good friend that I known. He was still there, and he is still here in my heart and in my soul. So I'm sorry if that got a little heavy. It got a little heavy for me. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to take a few deep breaths right now. So if you would like to join me, please feel free. And I'll start again in a minute. Deep breathing is also one of my tools that I use on a daily basis. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so moving on. One more. Even though I was loosening up with every painting regarding my perfectionism and rigidity, there was still a lot of work to be done in that area. And there still is. I won't lie about that. And that is what I think drew me to fluid art. With these processes, yes, there's some control in some things. You can pick the process because there are a lot of processes in fluid art. The canvas, the colors, the general idea of what you want, but you're never really sure how that piece is going to turn out. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And as I do, I'm just going to show you some images. I'll run through them. Fluid art is just what I needed. And again, this was not a therapy assignment. It was just something that I decided to do on my own. And I'm so thankful that I have. Now when I'm painting, it's like I'm in a meditative state. There's no anxiety, no stress, no worries. It's just me and the canvas and the paint. It's the most amazing thing, and I don't know what I ever did without it. This form of art has helped me to realize that I cannot control everything, that not everything has to be perfect. And in its imperfection, the art and life can be beautiful and appreciated. And right there is the biggest lesson I have ever learned, that I cannot control everything, that not everything has to be perfect. And in its imperfection, life is beautiful. Life is beautiful in its imperfection. And if we take it a step further, I cannot control everything around me. What every other person thinks or does, I can only control my actions and my reactions and what I do and how I live my life. My life is not perfect and does not have to be perfect. And I, myself, am not and do not have to be perfect. And all of that is beautiful in its imperfection. And right there, that is the biggest dose of radical acceptance I have ever faced. This is the most exciting time of my life. Creatively, I love the art I'm producing. I've even started, I love this piece right here. I've even started combining the lyric project and the fluid art, but I'm not showing you any of that because I'm not ready. This entire process has freed me creatively and emotionally. I'm still working on the spiritual part. And we come right back to that whole circle of balance thing. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This did not happen overnight. I've been working towards this moment, this one, right here and right now since the beginning of 2015. I have found my purpose, and my art therapy and my artwork has had a big part in getting me here. Currently, I work as a NAMI support group facilitator for going on 2 years for two different affiliates, the CCNS, Cook County North Suburban, and the Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And I want to say hi to both groups. And this year I started also working as a warm line responder for NAMI Bucks County as well. And as nervous as I am about this, I get to go back to school to continue my education in the mental health field starting this Tuesday, like 2 days. And I paint I get to paint and I get to be creative. I have found my purpose, and I plan to combine my love of art and what it can do for one's mental well-being and general well-being with my desire to help others with mental health conditions after I complete my education. And I'm happy and content being who I am and painting. Not only do I paint, but I've even sold some of my art. I can't tell you how scared I was to put my art out there, but I put it off for a long time, that fear of judgment. But I decided that I was going to live above the fear and just go for it. And I'm so glad I did. That's the last thing I want to tell you all. That last tidbit that helps me with my mental health, helps me maintain my emotional well-being baseline. I decided I can no longer live in the fear, and I would live above it, because living in the fear is scary and it wasn't getting me anywhere. But living above the fear, yes, it can also be scary. It's guaranteed to be scary. And every time I do, every time I live above that fear, I get to see that I move forward instead of staying stuck in that deep, dark pit I was in. Okay, one more thing before we move on to the next part of the presentation. I realized that what I was doing wasn't working for me, and I looked for something else. And that was okay. It is okay. It's more than okay. It's necessary. Okay, here's a little story. I was recently in shul. I was in synagogue, and I was speaking to someone I haven't seen in years. And I looked back on our Facebook messaging, and it had been like 12 years since we'd messaged. And he said to me, Edie, there's one thing about you. The thing about you is that you're so understated. I wouldn't be able to pick you out in a crowd. You fit perfectly in that little box. Obviously, he was speaking facetiously because, like my hair, my sheitel, my wig, it's purple. I was wearing a bright pink dress with orange shoes. And we had a great conversation about this talk I was going to have here. And I bring this up because he spoke about the box, that box that we feel stuck in for so many reasons sometimes, and we feel so constrained. And I want to let you know, when it comes to your mental health, when it comes to your mental health care, it's okay. It's more than okay. It's necessary to think outside of the box if you aren't getting what you need. I found art therapy, and art therapy brought me so much more. It took me to dance movement therapy, which, okay, I had a block. I thought I couldn't meditate for 5 years. I thought there's no way I'm going to meditate. But dance movement therapy showed me that I could meditate. And now meditation and that relaxation is a vital part of my maintenance of my emotional well-being. So it has opened up a world to me. Art therapy has opened up so much to me. There are so many options out there for us. As long as a practitioner is a certified counselor, they should be able to bill your insurance, provided they're in your network. So maybe, just maybe, figure out what brings you that joy, that lights you up inside, and ask Google if there's any kind of therapy. You might be surprised at what you find. So now, before we go to answer some questions, I would like to read you one of the pieces I wrote for My Life's Lyric and show you a very short video showing the fluid art process. So the piece I'm going to read to you is a little glimpse into my mind of the safe place I've created for myself. It's a place where I can go when I need a minute or two to decompress and let go momentarily of the stressors of whatever's going on. This is one of my go-to tools in my mental wellness toolkit. This song, Drift Away, originally performed by Dobie Gray, is a perfect accompaniment to my safe place, and I hope you enjoy it. So here are the lyrics. The full lyric is, when my mind is free, a melody can move me. When I'm feeling blue, a guitar's coming through to soothe me. Thanks for the joy you've given me. I want you to know I believe in your song, in rhythm and rhyme and harmony. You've helped me along, making me strong. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. And here we go. Music is magical. It's dusk. I'm at the cabin. Actually, I'm in the field of wildflowers at the back of the cabin, laying in a four-poster bed made from old birch trees. I'm watching this as the sky shades with pinks and purples as the last bits of light streak through the dimming sky. The dark inky blues take over my vision, and twinkling silvery stars begin to emerge to share the stage with the rising brilliant moon. The sweet floral aroma starts to invade my senses as I begin to relax into the moment, and somewhere in my consciousness, I hear the music and I'm drifting. And when my mind is free, a melody can move me. And when I'm feeling blue, a guitar's coming through to soothe me. I'm sitting in a giant Adirondack chair on the front porch of the cabin, cocooned in an oversized buttery cable knit throw, clutching my morning coffee. Caffeinated, because it doesn't matter here. The warmth of the mug envelops my hands as I lift the cup to take a sip. Rich goodness smothers the taste buds on my tongue, as well as tickles at my nose as the coffee begins to warm my insides as well. Looking out over the lake, I see the first rays of dawn streak over the quiet sky. As the sun rises, oranges and tangerines and that almost bright pink color I can't remember the name of all wake my eyes in wonder. It's a joy to behold and calms my soul as I sit back and sip my coffee as the morning sun begins to warm everything around. I can hear the trees rustling and the birds chirping, and the music finds me once more drifting. Thanks for the joy that you've given me. I want you to know I believe in your song. The lake is clear today as I row out from the dock. The rhythmic swish of the oars is soothing to my worried mind. It's a small rowboat, beautifully made and maintained. It's clear that the boat is loved, and the wood has been polished regularly to keep it in a healthy condition. It suits me. I stop nowhere in particular and drop the small anchor. Laying at the bottom of the boat, staring at the clouds overhead, trying to find sense in their puffiness. Each cloud shows me something else, rhythm and rhyme and harmony. I feel at peace. Listening to the soft movement of the waves lapping at the sides of the boat, I feel its music. I lift the anchor and drift once more. And rhythm and rhyme and harmony, you've helped me along, making me strong. I'm running fast down the dock. It's been quite a hot day and I need relief. I run right off the end of the dock and I'm flying, soaring through the air, wind in my face, grinning, laughing, fearless, weightless, free. I plunge into the crystal clear water of the lake, submerging deeper and deeper. As I do, thousands of bubbles begin to rise around me, chasing their way to the surface of the water. I watch as they dance over me. They tickle at my skin as they twist and turn about me to their own music, waking my body from its malaise. I spin in the water, creating more bubbles before pushing to the surface. Breaking through into a layer of foamy bubbles of my own creation, I breathe deeply of contentment. Closing my eyes, I float in the bubbles, listening to the music around me and drift away. Oh, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Music and lyrics have incredible power. When I listen, truly listen to a song, it can transport me to another place, another mindset. The lyrics speak to me, I relate to them, and I can feel them. This idea is such an important one for me in my recovery and maintenance of my mental health. This song, Drift Away, has the ability to help me relax, remove myself from the stress and tumult of being me, and go to a place that allows my body and mind to decompress, even for just a little bit. And that right there is unbelievably important for someone living with mental health conditions. I manage my mental health daily, and I have a lot of tools to help me, but I know at a moment's notice, I can put on this song, close my eyes, breathe deeply, and all the stress and anxiety just drift away. And that is invaluable to me. Different songs speak to me in different ways. The more time I spend with music, I find that I'm listening to the lyrics more, intent on the words and what they mean to me. And in turn, I am more present, more grounded, and more able to deal with my daily life. Music is magical if we just listen and drift away. So one more thing, I'm going to show you that video and then we'll move on. This is the painting that I made in the video. I just wanted to give you a picture of what it is that I actually completed. It is a sped up, so it's about a minute or so of a 20-minute process. So I hope you can see it and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Okay. So thank you for hearing me out. And I promise this is really the last thing I'm going to say before we go to the questions. Gratitude is yet another big part of management of my mental health. So I'd like to take this opportunity to show some gratitude here. First of all, I'd like to show my gratitude to Hashem, to God, because without him, there would be no hope in my life. I would be nowhere if I didn't have hope to hold on to. So thank you, Hashem, for showing me hope. I'd like once again to thank Tamar Mishkin and Labriut for having me speak this evening, and for all of you who had the courage to spend this time with me, taking a step to end the stigma surrounding mental health and mental illness. To my husband, Shui, and my children, Esty, Sid, and Avi. You have seen the worst of me, and you have seen the better of me. My hope is that the best is yet to come, and I get to show you that as well. Thank you for always giving me the opportunity to let me show you how much I love you. And to my extended family that has been able to support me through my life's turns, and my chosen family and friends who not only chose me, but who I chose. I love you all for being in my life and accepting me in my authenticity. So thank you. I'm going to stop this.
Can you see me? Wow, Edie, that was incredible, really incredible. So genuine and inspirational. I was literally taking notes on what you said. Thank you for sharing so much of your story with us. We are now going to transition to the Q&A part of our program. As a reminder, if you have questions, you can text them to me in the chat and I will share them with Edie. I got a couple of questions already, and we will get to as many questions as we can. One question that we received was, can you explain, please, the difference between PTSD and CPTSD?
So PTSD, it's a really hard question. Complex PTSD is when you have had more than one event of trauma. So my trauma has happened numerous times, and it's different kinds of trauma. It's a little bit hard to explain. A psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist would be much better at explaining it than I am. It is complex, and that's what makes it hard to explain. So I'm sorry if I didn't explain that well.
Do you mind if I try to explain it also?
Oh, please do. If you can explain it better than I did. It's my pleasure.
my understanding of complex PTSD is that it's not a one-time event. It's not like a car accident or like a hurricane or a one-time thing that you're trying to get over a trauma of a one-time event, but it's a continuous thing that has many, many instances and continually has trauma that keeps on getting awakened and awakened and awakened numerous times. So it's a continuous process of getting reawakened and reawakened and reawakened, and not a one-time traumatic event, like I said, like a car accident or a earth-shattering event like a weather trauma. But
That's a much better answer.
that's just how I was taught it. But and it's much harder, obviously, to get over because it's not a one and done. It keeps getting kicked up again and kicked up again and kicked up again. So that's how I understood it. Another question is, another quick question. What are you going to school for?
I am going to school to be a certified recovery support specialist so I can work one-on-one as a peer with other people with mental health conditions. I'm going to, it's through a program with through Elgin Community College here in Illinois, through a grant from the Illinois Department of Public Health.
Amazing. And another question, was there anything that people from the Orthodox Jewish community did that was helpful to you in your mental health journey?
That was helpful?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Unfortunately, the answer to that, the answer to that question is unfortunately no, because, I feel like the stigma within the Orthodox community, and it's getting better, I will say it's getting better, but at the time that I was dealing with the heaviest parts of what I was dealing with, it wasn't where it even is now. It was still, the stigma was so much heavier then. And we're even just talking 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And so there wasn't as much available to us as there is now. And the more we talk about it, like we're doing tonight, the more we're going to open up the lines of communication and ensure that we in the Orthodox community are going to be able to offer more to each other, so that the walls that I came up against and other people came up against crumble, because that's what we need to do. We need to crumble those walls, because that the walls that we face in that community, in our community, are what drive people out of it. So it's very important what we're doing tonight. I cannot tell you how thankful I am that all of you showed up to be a part of it, and to just chip away at that wall.
Okay, how do you stay motivated to do your art, whether it is art, writing, or through music? I also like dance movement therapy. So I guess just how do you stay motivated to keep doing it?
It's a huge coping tool for me. Like when I am stressed or overwhelmed or like feeling off. What I said now with the fluid art, it's true. I feel this complete calmness, this oneness with the art. So for me, it's not staying motivated to do it. It's a joy to get to do it. For me, it's when do I get to do it? It's how often do I get to do it? Because, it's a huge part of my life. Music is a huge part of my life. Listening to music, I have music on all the time because, and I'm just learning about this a little bit, the vagus system, the music and singing and humming, and anytime you make noise, make sound, it it stimulates the vagus nerve and the vagus system, and that brings you above any kind of fight or flight. So like for me, music and stimulation of the vagus nerve, it just keeps me above fight or flight. So music is on all the time. Art is as often as I can do it. You know, I just, the motivation is, it's part of my self-care. It's like number one on my self-care.
Amazing. We had a comment, your artwork is sensational. I find painting also really therapeutic and helpful to my mental health. We had another comment.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We had another comment. Are any of the Jewish schools or synagogues at all in tune with the mental health needs of the children or their members?
I don't really know that I have an answer for that. I know that we have in Chicago, I know we have an organization that deals with mental health in our children upwards, right?
Yeah.
And they have been working for years with the schools and with the children in the community. And I think that would be a great question directed towards them.
I think also of late, like the rabbis are more recently being trained in how to deal with mental health, like things that come up, definitely more recently. Hopefully.
Hopefully, that is a huge hope. That's a great hope.
Yes. But it's important. And, you know, I mean, there's another comment here that the stigma is unforgivable. It's still unforgivable. Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely.
I agree. It has to be changed, and being here, like Edie said, is helping to do that. Definitely helping to do that. Any other questions or comments? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. There's another comment. Someone would like to have a list of the songs that you mentioned and the things that you've done your art on, so that they can just get an idea of what you shared. If you want to share that, and someone else would like to contact you, if you want to share your contact information. I know you have a email address through LaBriute, so if you want to put that in the chat.
Yeah, I could put my.
Do you want me to put that in the chat?
Sure, if you want to put that in the chat. They want a list of the songs
that you used to make the PowerPoint, I guess. I mean, you don't have to do that right now.
Okay, we can do that later. Sure.
Yeah, you can do that later. I hope I'm getting this right.
It's edie.labriutewoman@gmail.com.
Oh, thank you. edie.labriutewoman@gmail.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Edie?
I'm here. Might as well.
Someone asked, we want to know who Edie's favorite artist is.
My favorite painting artist? Wow. You know, last year I went to see the Van Gogh, the immersive Van Gogh exhibit, which was fantastic. It was amazing to actually be in the art. We went for my 50th birthday because I'm 50. And it was incredible just to be in the art. It was amazing. And this year they're doing the Impressionists. And I am dying to go, because if I had to pick a favorite artist of all time, it would be Monet. So.
There was a comment. Thank you for sharing, especially your vulnerability to share such good and practical information. Another comment, is your art available for sale? If so, where can we look at it?
You can contact me, and and I can let you know. I do have it is available for sale. I have an album on my Facebook page you could look at, or you could contact me. So.
Okay, before you leave, everyone, I do have a quick survey, 2 or 3 minute survey that I just want you to fill out, if you don't mind. I'm just going to post it in the chat to everyone. Oh, and I want to read one more comment. Thank you for your authenticity and for sharing your story. It's one of the most powerful ones I have ever heard. Another comment, so happy you found the joy of art again. Okay.
Thank you
Let me
both.
just paste the link to the survey. So please click on the link and complete the survey. It really will take 2 or 3 minutes. It's very quick, based on today's presentation. And another couple of comments are flowing in. So happy. I read that one already. Sorry. We love you, Edie. Edie should give art classes. I like that one.
I have, and I will, you know, I don't have a problem doing that, by the way.
Yeah, we just really want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and hope you found some inspiration in hearing Edie's story and seeing her artwork and seeing how her art really helped her transform her recovery. And if you have any questions for Edie or for myself, please let us know.
Thank you all for coming and hearing me out. I really appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.